Sup everybody, this is Karak with ACG and welcome to the Video Game News Wrap-Up, where I wrap up the biggest game news stories, at least to me. The first thing I want to talk about is Steam seeing a massive increase in the users of VR, in particular driven by the Quest 2, which grew 3.3%. It is almost at 40%. It's like 36% right now. That's a massive increase to VR, and it shows that VR strengths are still there. It's just that it is very difficult to grow that outside of the holiday season. We also see that the Vive Cosmos jumped a little bit, as did Windows Mixed Reality. Well, it didn't really jump. It went up 0.1%, but a lot of people have issues with the WMR system and how it was originally connected to the WMR side versus Steam VR, which now you can actually launch that without going directly into the WMR ecosystem. It is awesome to see VR doing such a good job, and it doesn't take a genius to understand that the Quest 2, especially at its price, subsidized by Facebook itself, has really helped out. We'll have to see what the price ends up being when Facebook doesn't require you to sign in, which they technically do still at this time, though they have stated at some point in the future they'll be able to remove that. Now, all this is driven by a hardware survey that is actually optional on Steam, so be aware that these numbers are not definitive. They're just what's been reported by the hardware survey on Steam. It's a little bit like the review system. It can't be 100% trusted, but it still gives you a good general overall picture of VR, and it's increasing year over year. This is all going to be increased when Sony finally decides to release their PlayStation VR, as we know that there are some improvements there. We'll have to see how all this works. I'm excited for this. I like VR, especially when it's working well and you get some of these unique games. In particular, the Oculus does actually have some very nice games on its marketplace, but now that you're starting to look at Steam, you're starting to see a lot of titles come out there, and I've definitely heard through the grapevine that some bigger titles are planned for VR as well once we move into the future, especially in mid-2022. At least that's the rumors that I've been hearing. And next up, if you've been watching the channel, any of the podcasts, you absolutely know this is something I've been talking about for over a year, and that's Samsung and their deals when it comes to gaming and their new TVs. So CES is currently occurring, and today Samsung announced that their new gaming hub will be on their TVs moving forward. This is not necessarily these titles actually being installed on the systems when you buy the TV, but the ability to install GeForce Now as well as Google Stadia. But what's even more important is they now have a pass-through system which allows for you to use your controllers from the Xbox and the PlayStation. The Steam Link has been available for a while on some Samsung TVs, but this is reported that it's not actually going to be a part of the gaming hub. I use the Steam Link on mine, and it actually works quite well when it comes to even my older Samsung TV. We definitely know that Microsoft and Samsung have talked in the background as well, and it wouldn't surprise me if we start to see more and more streaming services being added directly to the game hub on Samsung, as well as some rumors of LG. This is something to me that is quite important, because streaming is not only there, but you're actually going to get that ability to sort of jump from your TV over to your tablet, to your computer, what have you, and be able to play without any real adjusting of the controllers. That pass-through is a big deal. This is something that, once again, Samsung announced today. What wasn't announced today but is going to impact us for a long time is the metaverse, or metaverses, because anybody telling you there's one metaverse is completely full of shit. Another one that is the CEO for Square, who wrote a letter to investors, to the people who work at the company, as well as fans, discussing the metaverse and basically introducing that first moment of something I've talked about in the past that was going to pop up, which is guilt gaming. Any of these companies that are trying to push NFTs are going to try to get you into it in some way, and one of the ways the CEO for Square has done this is, surprisingly enough, basically saying that if you're playing the game just to win, you're not really what they're actually looking for. If you're just enjoying the game, that's not necessarily the most important thing to them. I'm going to quote a second from this letter. It says, "I realize that some people who play to have fun and who currently form the majority of players have voiced reservations towards these new trends, and understandably so. However, I believe there will be a certain number of people whose motivation is to play to contribute, by which I mean to help make the game more exciting. Traditional gaming's offered no explicit incentive to this latter group of people who were motivated strictly by some inconsistent personal feelings as goodwill and volunteer spirit. This fact is not unrelated to the limitations of existing user-generated content." So let's sort of deball this right away. The first thing to say is, even he admits this is an inconsistent personal feeling, like goodwill and volunteer spirit, something that you absolutely cannot guarantee. Additionally, the pointing out of play to have fun kind of gamers versus these play to sort of make the game more exciting kind of players, there isn't really a great split there, or certainly a percentage that anybody knows. What's more interesting here, though, is that the idea that the players themselves need to make the game more exciting. One of the problems that we have a lot of times is companies themselves won't support a game. We've seen this with various different companies, and the actual fans have to step in. But this is not something that we want day and date. That doesn't make any sense. If we're talking about 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, there is some expectation that the company continues having those servers run, and if they don't, sometimes we get them to release the server files or somebody hacks it, like we've seen recently with Titanfall. But you certainly don't want to rest on your laurels and already be talking about it. Another bit from this that I want to read. From having fun to earning to contributing, a wide variety of motivations will inspire people to engage with games and connect with one another. It is blockchain-based tokens that will enable this. End of quote. First, no, it's not. Anything that can be done with an NFT can be done prior. We've already seen that, and the experience of that is something like Second Life, which has been doing it for years. NFTs do not allow for this. The companies are telling you that because they want you to buy into NFTs and they want you to believe that something is actually impossible. And this is backed up by the developers I've talked to who've basically stated, including, as we saw an initial report from Ubisoft devs, not even understanding why the publisher was pushing NFTs so hard. But what I've been told is nothing so far whatsoever could not be done with existing technologies easier. The statement that was stated by multiple different developers is NFTs legitimately are the exact same thing, only done far less efficiently. And the last bit I want to read because I take personal issue with this, and if you don't, that's fine. In the quote, he states, our lifestyles have changed and we're learning to coexist with COVID-19. Against that backdrop, I believe that the new technologies and concepts that I've discussed and the changes that they bring to our business environment will provide us with numerous opportunities to enrich people's lives through digital entertainment, which is at the core of our business. End of quote. That's absolutely correct. However, I do take severe issue with bringing up COVID-19 engaged with this. That is a very simple guilt gaming kind of situation, something I've been telling you guys would pop up, and we're starting to see this here. It is no way, shape, or form related to COVID-19. NFTs were prior to COVID-19, or at least the idea of them. The idea that we need to basically bring this up as some kind of magical fix that will help us throughout gaming really is just distasteful. I didn't like this entire presentation. You can find this actual letter in the link that'll be in the description. I'd like to know what you guys think. Again, maybe this is just me and I'm the only one who takes issue with it. Also, if you want to learn about NFTs, if you want to learn about how these are going to affect your games mostly negatively, and this is backed up by the actual research that's been done and the actual experiences we currently have, feel free to watch my older videos that discuss NFTs in depth when it comes to video games, because they are slightly different than your typical JPEG, right-click, save Dan, and then uploaded to OpenSea to become an NFT. And while I mentioned this briefly before, I want to bring it up once again. Titanfall 2, there's a mod out there that allows for you to now set up your servers for that game. So if you're a fan of Titanfall 2, you want to go out there and you want to play some multiplayer with other people, there is a way to do so. Go online, look it up. You can find the link to the various different files for setting up your server. This is something that as we move forward and games sort of start to peel away on the wayside, older titles that were structured around general consoles at the time and not these current gen, more powerful titles, we're going to start to see this kind of thing sort of ramp up. What I would like to see is the companies step forward and say, here are the server codes for doing something like this. Here's the information. We've definitely seen companies do that, where a company ends up sort of looking at the game and saying, hey, we're going to mothball this thing. And at the same time, here's the information if you want to run your own private servers. I don't like the idea of them dropping a server, but I do understand that as things change, some of the old titles are just going to fall to the wayside. But I think it's absolutely imperative that this becomes the norm, that we start to get companies that are at least looking at the future and identifying that, hey, if we drop support, it doesn't mean that people are going to stop wanting to play. We have the server files, maybe build up a package and put that together and give it out to people so that they can continue playing your game. You are only going to create fans. Lastly, I got to talk about the success that Sega has seen these last couple years, and much of it has been driven by their adjustments to how they do business. And we can look no further than the Yakuza series coming to PC 2.8 million units were sold on PC. Sega had a management meeting. They talked about the strategies for Yakuza, for all of their other Sega titles, and we have seen this do nothing but success. Now, we know that Lost Judgment is not coming directly to the PC. There's various issues with the actual star or actor's main agency and their dislike for anything that's on PC. But you look at this and you can see that Sega is starting to see that growth that a lot of us old-style fans really appreciate. Sega's got a number of IPs that many of us would want to see, and the idea that they can possibly release some of these out on the PC as well as the console means that a company like Sega can take a few more risks in what they want to release. I, for one, am waiting for Space Harrier 3D and Space Harrier VR. If that happens, I'm going to shit myself. Then you got Thunderblade, you got Altered Beast, you've got all kinds of different games. Afterburner. Sega has a ton of IPs. Headhunter 3, yes please. And this kind of information from Sega is only backed up by Steam itself. They broke a record. Most concurrent users, nearly 28 million people, were logged into Steam playing games. Guys and gals, this is awesome. I love the growth of various different companies as well as just a larger community of gamers. This is fascinating stuff, but it also is a place where it allows for you to have a little bit more of a voice. There's more people here that can possibly put down their foot on some of the stuff like the random NFTs or rampant microtransactions, and I suggest that you do. Don't take anything at face value when it comes to a company telling you, hey, we're in it for you. Technically, they're in it for the dollars in your wallet. They've never been in it for you. And as we roll out of this news segment, I just want to say thanks to everybody. If you get a chance, subscribe. If you don't, hey, you know what? That's fine too. Go out there. If you want, post a couple of your comments. What were your favorite games in 2021? I would love to know. Post them here in the comments. Post what you think about NFTs, what you think about Steam breaking records, what you think about Sega. What games would you like to see? I would love to see more of these companies that don't release on PC start to do so. We are already seeing a massive, almost continental shift when it comes to Sony doing so. This is something that many people thought would never happen, and it has really shaken the Sony faithful in understanding exactly where their platform is. Personally, I don't think it devalues it, but I know a ton of people who do. We see a lot of these companies that just release on consoles, even if it's on 2 or 3 of them, that I would love to see on PC. This is excellent. I would love to see them take the advancements of higher frame rate, adaptive VSync, everything they can, because those are now on the newer consoles as well. And really, all you can get from that is more players, more games, and more fun. Peace out.